Hey everybody, welcome to my suburban oasis. My name's Soleil and I garden in mid-Michigan in zone 5B/6A, and we're out in the garden today going to do our garden tour. I have to tell you, I'm feeling a little crispy, kind of like some of my plants. It's been a really hot week. We haven't had any rain for a while yet, so some things are looking really good and other things are looking like they really need a drink. So let's take a look and see what's going on in the garden this week. Well, here in the fountain area, we continue to get new blooms on our incredible hydrangeas. And they look pretty good, really, considering how little rain we have gotten. They are beautiful, limey green, perfect for cutting, with the exception of the beautiful white ones that have just started popping up. To our left over here, we have a beautiful little haughty hydrangea growing in a pot. And that one looks great despite the lack of rain. So again, some things are looking really good and other things maybe not quite as much. Over in the fountain area here, we have some plumbago, and it is starting to bloom blue at the base of the fountain, and I think that looks really pretty, don't you? And we're getting those blooms on the spirea that we saw starting to bud up last week. So that's really pretty. And they look really nice with all of these gorgeous alliums that are blooming. These are the Millennium alliums, and boy, they really started to open this week for sure. So many more blossoms on them than there were before. These look great over here as well. They don't mind the heat at all. They're really quite fine with it being dry also. And even in the evening right now, as it's getting a little bit cooler, we see lots of bumblebees hanging out on them. You can see a little bit of yellow leaves on our limelight hydrangea today. Again, because of the lack of rain, but it's still pushing up some blooms. The strawberry Sunday hydrangea here looks good. Definitely blends really nicely with those alliums, doesn't it? Really gorgeous combination over here. And the 9-bark, even though it's gone over, provides a nice backdrop to these hydrangeas. Really a nice contrast. Now, unfortunately, our vanilla strawberry hydrangea is still kind of putting out some strange blooms. Not really that big. They just look like the Bobo hydrangea blooms to me on a really large bush. So very, very odd, very colorful, very pink, but just incredibly different this year. Every gardening year is very different. You experience different weather patterns and the plants mature at different rates. Needless to say, some of the arborvitaes really provide a nice green backdrop to this garden for me. They help it stay feeling lush and fresh, even during these periods where it is so hot. And I'm really glad that I did the trimming of the arborvitae into the topiary over here. It just turned out really great. It provides just a little bit of formality in this area where there's a lot going on still. Lots of color from the heucheras in this area. Our geraniums are doing good next to the pool over here. They're quite fine with it being dry. In fact, they don't like it too moist. I am still waiting on our daylilies over here to kind of go over. They have almost browned up to the point where I'm ready to pull out the stalks. Got a few hydrangea blooms here, but just look over here at our firelight hydrangea. This one is looking gorgeous right now. It's white and it's pink. And it's quite happy. Now the oak leaf hydrangea is getting a little crispy right here. But I did transplant that this year, so it still really is trying to get itself established in that particular spot. The pieris have started putting out, at least some of them have started putting out their buds already. Take a look at this. Surprised quite so early. Usually I feel like that happens in September. But sometimes maybe a weather pattern like this where it's dry and hot pushes things a little bit more to put out their flowers and produce some seeds. Maybe you can see all the way across the garden. We have the hibiscus over there, looking beautiful. Let me take you up too so that I can show you the hibiscus blooms at the end of the pool. They look really, really good. Of course, we're towards the end of the day now, which makes it so that they start to close up. So unfortunately, I can't show you the lavender hibiscus as well, but aren't those evening rose hibiscus beautiful? This gorgeous color at the end of the pool here. They feel so tropical. And our geraniums are doing so much better. This week of hot weather has really gotten them going strong. Well, this area right here has probably been hit the hardest by the dryness. I have some crispy hostas over here that are not looking so hot. And hydrangea and some phlox, they're just kind of drooping. I even came out and watered them. But I just got to wait for a good natural rain. The panicle hydrangea, though, is doing okay. The little hottie right here is still pushing its buds, so I think it's going to be okay. I even see some stress happening back here on the Hakona Chloe grass. It's kind of thin, and its leaves should be like really spread out more. I hope I'm explaining that okay. Kind of hard to explain. This hosta is looking amazing still. So yeah, overall things are looking pretty good, but definitely a little bit tired. Like these Brunnera are a little tired. I had to water these. You can see they're a little droopy, and the astilbes have crispified. So send in the rain gods. We definitely need them now. We had so much rain for such a long period of time, and everything got a little pampered. And now we need it to come back for us. Look at how big these hellebores have gotten. So amazing. This is their third year. These are the pink frost hellebores. They love having some sunshine on them as opposed to just pure shade. But they look great with the oak leaf hydrangea and the lungwort. These Brunnera over here are looking better. They're a little bit perkier. I'm not sure why, it just happens to be they must have some soil that's a little bit more moisture retentive. I'm going to need to come through and kind of trim up this vinca. It's starting to get a little bit out of control, growing out of its bounds, and I need to do that so that it doesn't start rooting into the path and trying to spread. That would be a real pain. The hostas and lungwort over here are looking all right. They are, like I said, everything I feel like is a little tired. Maybe a little bit like me. A little tired of the heat, humidity, and lack of rain. This fireside non-bark got like twice as big this year as it was last year. That one may require some trimming next year. Turn around and we'll take a look at the half moon garden back here from the back. You can see our hydrangeas on either side with the Tian Shan 7 Sun trees and our beautiful privet hedge. Looking pretty good. That hedge still needs to be trimmed. Just haven't gotten around to it yet. Need to empty out the garden cart. Here's another strawberry Sunday hydrangea, and we're getting a second bloom a little bit here on our Boom Chocolata geranium. Isn't that cute? The Pinky Winky's looking good. Over here, lots of blooms, doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. And Our Lady is starting to be surrounded by the little lime hydrangeas blooms. Isn't that gorgeous? Maybe I will leave the Russian sage. I don't know. I flip-flop back and forth about it. What do you guys think? Should it stay or should it go? Well, let's head out into the front garden and see what's going on out here. It has actually been so dry lately that we don't have any mosquitoes. I've been really lucky about that. But you can see the geranium macrorhizum in this bed is looking rather crispy. But look, we're getting blooms on this quickfire hydrangea. If you follow me, I've said this many times before, but I grew this one from a small stick, just a cutting, and it's now blooming, and I'm so excited. It took a few years for it to get to this point. So I did come through and deadhead these hostas, and I think it looks a lot cleaner in this garden bed now. It looks so much nicer. However, I did not get to trimming up the boxwoods, and they really do need a trim in order to look a little bit more crispy, or crisp I should say, not crispy like brown, but to look a little bit more tight. Look at all of the buds on this mum here. This mum is huge, and it's just starting to open. So I think we'll be starting to see flowers on this very soon. Another thing that has gotten crispy is my lily of the valley. They look pretty darn horrible in here. I mean, this is probably the worst that they have looked for a long time. Everything else in this garden bed looks pretty good though. The Virginia looks amazing. The barberry looks good. We're getting some blooms in the limelight. Not big blooms, but some blooms anyways. And just look at our blue corner. The blue stem grass are starting to push up their blooms. I think these are called standing ovation. Somebody asked me and I could not find the tag, but I think that's what they're called, a standing ovation, little blue stem. I could be wrong, but for some reason that pops into my mind. Anyhow, this part of the garden's looking pretty good. With the exception of these two hostas that were eaten by the deer. You can see my next door neighbor has some purple coneflowers still blooming, just like ours are also. Our grass is not so green right now either. It's looking rather sad. We do not water the lawn. It comes back just fine. Just can't justify using water on the lawn for the short period of time that it's brown here in Michigan. Just look at the amount of growth that has happened on these junipers. And I love their glaucous blue color. It is fantastic. How are your gardens doing? Are yours crispy like mine? It's a little bit frustrating right now. I have some blooms on the bobo hydrangeas here. Not a lot. Some pretty blooms on the alliums in this garden bed. The veronica is totally crispy. And our long border over here is looking pretty good with the exception of this end over here, which is really dry and droopy. So we'll start down at this end and just look at the end that looks probably the best, with the juniper and the elderberry and the beautiful coneflowers with the millennium alliums. And that cute little sunjoy, or the cute little spirea. We're getting some new blooms on the penstemon. Just check that out. I did not deadhead this one in the hopes that it would set seed and maybe create some additional plants. So fingers crossed on that. This Gara right here is getting out of control. I need to cut this back or just pull it completely, but it's probably like 3 feet tall and it doesn't barely have any blooms on it. So that's got to be taken care of. It just looks wild and crazy and not good. But we're starting to see lots of goldfinches and the coneflowers as they begin to go over to seed. And I love it. Absolutely love it. And check out the Cheyenne sky grasses back here. Aren't those pretty? They have begun their blooms. They look so awesome next to the coneflowers. They just set each other off, those two colors. Well, the liatris hedge is completely done now. I would have deadheaded it this morning, except for that we quickly got up into the high 80s, mid 90s heat index, so did not get it done. But it will happen soon enough. Soon enough. However, the PG hydrangea is looking spectacular. It's so pink this year. that brings us to the end of the garden tour for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Still wondering a little bit about whether or not you think I should remove that Russian sage from the lady garden. And tell me how crispy your garden is. Is it like mine? I hope not. Well, have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.